recording up, and I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Yep.
Maybe should be good usage of cover. Nice pick. Okay, obviously we missed the Javelin on Orisa when she was low earlier, but also make sure you're watching the Mercy, because she kind of flew up to the Ana and got a free res off. So,
oh, did she? I didn't even see that.
Yep, so paying attention for watching those dead bodies, make sure she's not getting a free res. Like right there again, right? Free res when we could have Javelined it. Okay, when you have picks like right now, you're up at an advantage. You can probably play more aggressive, start pushing in, give your team space to work with, clean up those kills, because right there we're up 2 people, and we're just kind of sitting back on cart, right? So, we can maybe talk more in depth if we need to, but I'd probably recommend not using ultimates if you're in between fights. So there we probably could have clean kill or 2 up there, without even using ultimate, and then that just staggers them further. But usually you want to use ultimate when fights are happening, not kind of in the in-betweens.
Yeah, I was nervous I wasn't gonna get the stagger on the Mercy, but yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I think you're probably fine, because you had a bunch of teammates there with you as well. Alright, so initially in that fight, we kind of just like let Orisa walk right past you and get into your team. But then after that, we turned around and probably focused on Orisa when we should have just probably ignored her, or even maybe even shot at her from the Kiriko ult so you can shoot faster. But we could have put more pressure on the team once she was kind of behind you and was in her gold. But then when her gold was down, we kind of looked away from her. So just kind of managing when we're looking at her and pressuring her.
Okay.
Nice, good job. Almost let Mercy get away with the res again.
Yeah,
now,
I know. That's bad.
All good. It's just gonna become especially a big part of awareness, right? Watching team comps, how they dictate your playstyle, watching those dead bodies. That's unfortunate. It was a good attempt at an ultimate. Unfortunately, we got cut off from the result.
See, you think that was good spot for an ultimate or not?
I think that was good. I think maybe the problem came to the fact that you might not have had enough teammates there with you.
Oh, no.
So I think that just meant that there wasn't as much follow-up on it. Okay, we're up 2 right now, so we could be playing a little bit more aggressively, pushing forwards. So we'll maybe go over a bit of, after this game, go over a bit of aggression scaling, because sometimes we have a big advantage, we're just kind of sitting there.
All experiments must come to an end.
Oh, that's very unfortunate.
I see a hostile.
Try again. Escort the payload with me. Stand aside.
Okay, nice final fight. Good job.
They don't give these.
Score.
Yeah, we'll talk about a bit of aggression scaling after this. When you come back in here, can you mind pressing tab for me? Just wanted to take a look. Oh, it's not showing. Can you maybe click Orisa? I wanted to look at the right hand side, but I don't. Try pressing tab again. I guess it doesn't show it until you load in all of your stats on the right hand side.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully it'll show when it pops up here. And so when you play tank, like, do you focus more on like battling the tank one-on-one and trying to win the tank battle, or do you try to like poke the back line and kill one of the DPS or healers first?
Really depends on the circumstance, but most of the time target priority is supports and DPS. But you shoot at tanks because tanks are really difficult to kill. But you can shoot at tanks if they're low, out of position. If they're the only thing you can shoot at, then go ahead and shoot at the tank. But if you have the equal opportunity, right, you have like the Orisa to the left and the Mercy to the right, usually the easier character is going to take the priority over the more difficult character to kill. But if you have the opportunity for it, go for it. Alright, I gotcha, thank you. I was just taking a look at your Javelin accuracy. I think the accuracy is definitely higher, you know, up against the when we're Javelining the tank versus when we're trying to go for squishy.
But we got it down. You're slipping away. It's settled.
Okay, very nice.
There's one. Simply following my orders. There's much for you to do. Repositioning. Enhancing your vitals. What kind of heal you get? Receive my aid.
Hostile forces are pushing the payload.
Well, they're not really pushing, so this is fine.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure what rank this is. Like I said, I've never been high on tanks.
There's a test.
Securing.
Our work is not done. Onwards to victory. Be uplifted.
Step back.
Increasing altitude.
Grounding.
Come here, Toki. Apagando las luces.
Alright, so they're pushing a little bit aggressive even when, like, kind of pushing into them even when low HP, so
Okay.
watching your health bar after your ultimate especially could just be backing up around the cart and trying to get healed back up instead of pushing in is something. One thing I'm noticing as well is maybe sometimes when we're just kind of poking, we'll be wasting like your fortify, so you might want to watch using fortify when you're just like a mile away from them and poking. Might be better to save it for when the fight's happening.
Okay.
My will. Oh. There's a test set.
We will claim victory. This
Walihum with onwards to victory.
stand aside. We will I'm on fire. Is he watching?
I hate Sombra, dude. Especially on Orisa.
Mm-hmm. Alright, well, very clean, 28 and 3. Quite honestly, it looks like your Orisa gameplay probably is higher than the rank that this lobby was. I don't know what lobby it's, what SR is
Yeah.
trying to place you at, but I would imagine that you're probably a decent bit higher than this, and if you just keep playing, you'll probably just place higher and start to see more difficult games, but we'll still have a few things to talk about off of it.
Okay.
Alright, so don't queue up quite yet. I'm going to stream and let's go over a few things. And then as well, because I didn't get the opportunity before the game started there, did you have any questions about anything else before we hopped into anything here?
I don't think so. I mean, I had the notes from last time, and yeah, with tank, yeah, I think the aggression scaling and then knowing when to battle the tank versus the first one of the back lines is definitely two of my bigger issues I probably always have. So, but you said you'd go over those, so I don't think so.
Yeah, gotcha. Wait, so last time we didn't go over aggression scaling, right? So we are doing that did I say we were doing that this time?
You said you were doing it
Okay,
this time. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. I was just making sure that I wasn't repeating the same topic. So, let me get that real quick. We can go over that first, aggression scaling, and I'm going to send the chart to you, and let's go over that. So basically, something that I noticed being like kind of a repeat thing was it was never like super atrocious, but there would be multiple times throughout your game where sometimes maybe you were just kind of sitting around when you could have been pushing in, or you're pushing in too far when you should just be sitting around a little bit more, right? So it's a mismanagement of aggression. When should you push? When should you back? And aggression scaling is pretty much just a tool. It's a way to view and understand aggression, so you can understand when you should be pushing and when you should be backing. So as you can see on the chart here that I sent you, aggression scaling, it you think of it as if it were on a scale. 0% is super passive, 100% is super aggressive, and then 50% is your neutral. Most fights you're coming in and you're just starting at your neutral because nothing's really happened yet. Nothing has happened to change your aggression. And neutral doesn't mean that you're sitting around doing nothing, because that would be 0, and it also doesn't mean that you're sprinting into their team and doing everything, because that would be 100. It might mean that you're kind of sitting around, kind of like what you were doing at your pokey phase at when you're defending first point. You're just you're pushing and backing and pushing and backing and just kind of existing. You're not just running in and you're not backing up, and that's your neutral. Now you're going to go up this scale with advantages and with opportunities. You're going to go down the scale with disadvantages, a lack of resources, and danger. So let's define a couple of those. Advantages and disadvantages. Last time, let me check. Did we go over? I don't see us. I don't think that we went over how to tell whether or not you've won or lost a fight, but we can kind of go over that here a little bit. Kills is going to be a big advantage and disadvantage, who you're up and who you're down. So if you're up a person, maybe go by intervals of 2 roughly. So if you're up 1 person, you go from 50 to 60. You're up 2 people, you go from 60 to 80. You're up 3 people, you go from 80 to 100, etc. You're down a person, you go from 50 to 40. You're down 2 people, you go from 40 to 20. You're down 3 people, you go from 20 to 0, right? Approximately speaking, that's kind of how it's going to work. Typically, I don't know if I said this last time, but how to tell whether or not you won or lost a fight, you're going to watch kill feed, and you watch your kills and deaths and things like that, and you think if you're up 1 or 2 people, up or down 1 or 2 people, that's an advantage or disadvantage. If you're up or down 2 to 3 people, at that point usually that's a won or lost fight. In which case, as we kind of said, I touched on earlier on in the replay, you don't want to use ultimates in won or lost fights, and at that point usually that's just over ulting. So those are advantages and disadvantages. Kills send you up and down the scale, but there are a lot of other advantages and disadvantages as well. Things like which team has more health, more abilities, more ultimates, closer spawns, better positioning, etc. Right? There's a lot of other factors that go into those. Opportunities, those are going to be things like you see someone who's low HP, someone who's out of position, you can push in and use your ultimate, things like that. Those are going to be opportunities that you can play more aggressive to capitalize on those opportunities, because if you don't, then you just won't be able to capitalize on the opportunities at all. Resources are going to be things like your health. On Orisa, or in tanks in general, it's going to be like your shields. Orisa obviously doesn't have shields, but it's going to be like your fortify and your javelin spin, right? If you these things, by having them, you're not going to be able to play. They don't send you up the scale, so it's not like you're going to have health and have your abilities and be like, oh, I have health and I have abilities, I can just push 1v5 into their team, right? That's not how that works. You can't just go up the scale just because you have them, but if you don't have them, they most certainly will send you down the scale. So if you are 0 HP, you're probably, or if you're 1 HP, sorry, you're probably going to be at a super passive 0%. Right? Because you can't do anything on 1 HP, or else you'll die, and then you'll be locked at 0%. If you're down your abilities, right, you don't have fortify, don't have javelin, well, maybe you need to play a little bit more passive. You're down at like a 30, right? Something like that. You can't be pushing when you don't have abilities to sustain yourself. And then finally, we got danger. Danger is going to be like how many people are looking at you, how many people are shooting at you, how many people are ulting at you. Obviously, you're going to be in a lot of danger if you're like sitting next to a diva bomb. And if you're sitting next to a diva bomb, you probably don't want to be sprinting into their team. You probably want to be backing up and running away from it. So that is aggression scaling. With this scale, note that sometimes it can be static, right? Where, let's say you're in the middle of staggering their team, you might be pushing at super aggressive 100% for like 20 seconds straight, right? Where you're just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. But then you'll also have other times where this will be very dynamic, where let's say you push into a fight and you see, oh, somebody's low HP, I'm going to push and get them, and then you get headshot, and now you're 1 HP. So now you just went from 50 to 100 to 0 all within the course of a second. So sometimes it can be very quick how it adjusts. So that's really aggression scaling right there. It's a lot of info and a lot of things to keep track of, but as you kind of understand all of these things better, it'll just become a lot more naturally. After playing this game for 6,000 hours, this isn't, I don't have to actively think what percentage should I be at. It just comes naturally. I just automatically go, I should be pushing right now, I should be backing right now, and that's just because it's formed as a habit at this point. It's just something that becomes naturally. But when knowing when to push versus when to back is not something that you're naturally good at, this is a really handy tool to break it down and understand it. Does all of this make sense? Do you have any questions on anything here?
Um, or like more like a DPS versus support dying on the other team. Like, does a DPS allow you to be more percentage, or are they all about work the same?
Um, well, I'd say approximately the same. You could say maybe something along the lines of, because tanks and DPS create a little bit more pressure. You are correct. So they can offer some a little bit more percentage if you want to think of it like that. So tanks can offer a bit more. If you kill a tank, you play a little bit more aggressive because they're down. They're big. Their protector to stop them from taking damage, which means that opportunities also open up for kills. So tank would probably be the most valuable in that sense. DPS would be second, supports would be third. Though they're not, it's not. Don't think it's like a super
Yeah.
crazy extreme percentage higher. I just say a little bit higher.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
hmm
And like an 80% aggression, like, or the 75, I guess, like midpoint, like, um, what would that entail for you? Like in that last game, that would like get in front of the payload, but still kind of being
Yeah.
close to the team, or
Yeah, so 75 would be like I'm pushing, but I'm not hard hitting into the other team. 100, let's talk about what 100% would look like. 100% would look like you have your ult, so you're jumping into the middle of their team to ult, right? That's 100. Or you're killing, you've won the fight, so you're just pushing in and cleaning up their kills. So you're going up to 100% and just go, 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 go. And there were times in your game where you won the fight, you're up like two people, and you're just kind of sitting behind cart, and you're playing more like a 50% when you could be playing 100% and go, 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 go. So that's an example of that. So now back to your question of 75%. What does 75% look like? Well, it's kind of in between, right? You're not just, like you said, you're not just sitting behind cart and just poking and going in and out, but you're also not sprinting into the middle of their team. So it could mean you push forwards with a javelin spin, or you see somebody who's low HP, so you just like push out of cover. You've used fortify. You push forwards a couple meters. You shoot, 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 and then you're backing up a little. You're backing up again. So it's playing aggressive but not super aggressive. It's just that midpoint. So if you want to think of it this way, you have 0% super passive. You go to the middle in between those. So you have like 30%. That's your semi-passive. Your neutral. Your 75% is going to be your regular aggressive, and then super aggressive is 100.
okay.
All right. Anything else?
Not on that. I guess we only have 4 minutes. So like that example, like,
Do we only have 4 minutes? I thought you ordered.
oh, was it an hour? Oh, it was an
Yeah,
hour.
I
I'm
think it's
sorry.
an hour. I think you're good.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, I think that's good on aggression scaling. That was a lot of good info. Like what about the point where and maybe I shouldn't have let her get past me anyway, but like the Orisa kind of just walked past me and tried to go in on my healers.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you kind of said it during game, but like, would you go back around and try to peel for the healers, or would you just kind of do the same thing and be aggressive in their back line
Yeah.
now? I guess.
So what had happened was that the Orisa kind of just walked past, which what you could potentially have just while she was like stuck behind the cart, you could have rotated over to her side, used fortify, and just kind of like tried to stand there so she can't just run past you and get to your team. So just tanking and standing in front of her. So stopping her from pushing would be step number one. If she gets past you, or she just pressures you so hard, because I think she got nanoed, so if she just pressures you so hard that you have to back up, then you can back up, let her push in, or if she pushes past you, then I would probably just pressure. It kind of depends. If the rest of her team is right there, I would pressure the rest of the team to stop them all from just taking advantage of the space that's created. So in that situation, once she got past you, the whole rest of her team was just sitting there and shooting at your team, right? So if you just turned around to shoot at the Orisa, then all four other people could just shoot at your team for free while she was ulting, and you probably wouldn't have done much to Orisa because I think she was nanoed, she had Fortify, I think she was ulting in the middle of your team, so then all of them would be shooting at your teammates, and you wouldn't really be able to do anything to Orisa anyways. So it would be of more value to shut down the other four people who are shooting at your team. But then, once Orisa had expended all of her abilities, so she came in, she ulted, she used Fortify, then at that point, she's just really out of position. So you can turn around and shoot at her and pressure her. But what ended up happening was we did it kind of all out of order, where firstly we let her run past you, then after she was past you, then you turned around and just tried to focus her when we weren't doing any damage to her at all. And then after she had used all of her abilities and expended everything, then instead of focusing her down while she was out of position, that's when you turned to focus the team after we had already let them all in and let them to come in and take space. So it was kind of a little bit out of order in who we pressured when. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. So what about like in my games? It's kind of the same thing, but like dive tanks, like Doomfist, Diva. Like how would you play against them as Orisa? Like when they jump or boost into the back line, like is it kind of the same thing? If they have cooldowns, maybe pressure them, or if they don't,
Yeah,
peel.
it kind of once again it's kind of situational on on the state of the fight. If the other thing with the Orisa, like I was saying as well, is if they didn't have any team support whatsoever, then of course turn around and shoot at the Orisa, right? Same thing with a dive. Like if it's just one dive tank jumping in and they have no additional pressure at all with them, then turn around and peel on the tank, just shoot at them. Um, like if you're up on a high ground and none of their other teammates can reach you besides the tank, then shoot at the tank. There's no need to like drop from high ground and pressure them. If they are in the middle of it, now if they do have teammates that can push with them, maybe you can focus the other teammates, whether it's the people diving in or the people sitting there. If their teammates are their teammates were sitting back or just playing out of range. Like let's say for example they have a monkey diving in an Ana who's just sitting a mile away shooting at healing the monkey. As a Rissa, you might struggle to get to the Ana. Like you might not even be able to do much about her. And maybe you can poke her out a little bit, try to pressure her so she backs up, but you're probably not killing her if she's far away. So you can probably just focus on counter diving instead. It really all just comes down to the scenario. There'll be some cases where it's going to be useful to counter dive and just stick with your team and go after the tank. If they are like diving you and then you're sending people to, and then they're sending people to point, maybe you'll need to like go and contest point so that you're not just giving up point for free. If they're diving your team, but then like their whole front line is just like their Ana's just really overextended, maybe going for the Ana's the best move there, because then you can get a free pick on the Ana and then your team can kind of just try to handle the monkey. So really a lot of them are going to be situationally based, and there's no right answer for every situation. It's not going to be 100% of the time you peel, 100% of the time you push. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that helps. Yeah, I feel like it's just always so hard. It's
Mm-hmm.
like in my in my games, like if I ever decide not to peel, I just get yelled at. I'm like, well, I don't exactly know what to do, but
Yeah, I'd say like generally speaking, you have to try to just get a feel for knowing when to push and when to peel. It's probably good to err on the side of peeling because you're not always going to have the opportunity, but you need to be able to identify when those opportunities are to not peel and just to go after them. If it's one tank that you can just mow down, go and mow them down. If it's their whole team diving in, then it's not like you are going to be able to go shoot at anybody else anyways, so go ahead and, you know, peel and stick with your team. If it's just like one or two people pushing in and the rest of their team is that you can actively shoot at the rest of their team, maybe you can actively shoot at the rest of their team, and put pressure on them. So yeah, kind of just depends. Because if Anna's sitting there and Mercy sitting there just pocketing the monkey, and you turn around and try to shoot the monkey, then monkey's just not gonna die. He's just gonna get pocketed through it, and then you turn around and peeling doesn't really do anything.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, could also depend. Like, do you have your ultimate? Do you have teammates who have ultimates? Are they looking to push in? Things like that, right? Maybe trying to ult a single monkey or a single Doomfist might not be very worth it, but if you let Doomfist jump in your backline and then you jump in their backline with an Orisa ult, maybe you can make something work out of it.
Okay.
Alright,
Yeah.
anything else?
Nope, not on that.
Alright, well, let's hop into more stuff here. I'm over streaming here. So let's talk about, really quickly, I mentioned it briefly, but sometimes watch the ability usage when you're just kind of poking from a distance. Like when you're at the poke phase of the fight where we're just like here to there and we're just kind of shooting at each other. There are occasions where we'll fortify from here at the poke phase, and that means that we come out of fortify and it's a 14-second cooldown, right? Which means that they have a whole 14 seconds to push into you where you're not going to have your biggest defensive ability. And then when your fortify is probably really going to be most useful is when the fight has begun and you're more at like this range. Brawling with their tank is when you're probably going to want to fortify, right? So just be careful about using it and wasting it when you're at your poke phase. There will be some situations, of course, like if you're in danger of dying, go ahead and use it. But a lot of times if you're just poking, you just have the option to use cover in a lot of cases. Like you were using cart cover really well, and there probably wasn't too big of a need to just sit here and fortify when you could just tank, and then duck around the corner for a second or two, and then do it again. Make sense?
Yeah. Same thing with spin, since it's such a short cooldown. Or...
Yeah. Spin is half the cooldown, and so it's probably a bit better. Plus, it can catch abilities and some damage from your team. So I'd say that's a little bit more lenient to use. Because if you use spin for defense, and then they push in, well, it's only 7 seconds. If they push in, you're only going to be like 3 seconds away from having it again. And you'll have Fortify, which is the more defensive ability anyways. So, honestly, I'd say Spin is a lot more lenient at that poking phase, because you'll probably have it again once the fight actually starts up.
Okay.
Target priority, let's talk about that really briefly. I mean, we already talked about it, but just to demonstrate it real quick, if you have a tank right here, right? Tank right here, squishy right here. Tank by design are difficult to kill, right? They have 2 to 3 times the health of other characters. They have armor, they have tanking abilities, they have shields, they get healed the easiest. Overall, if we just spend the whole game just trying to shoot the tank, we're just gonna be a lot of the times just shooting and finally maybe killing them, but by the time we kill them, our whole team's dead. Things like that. It's just going to take forever to kill them. Whereas you can melt the squishy really, really quickly in a lot of cases. So if you have equal opportunity, meaning tank here, squishy here, or tank here, squishy here, why would he shoot at the tank when you could just shoot at the much easier character right next to them and get the kill? And then you can also actively seek out characters. So, if there's a tank in front of you, maybe you can try to push past them and get to those other characters. Take a little bit of a side angle, things like that. Kind of depends on the scenario for that. But actively seeking them out. And then finally, like I said before, that's not an end-all be-all statement. You can obviously shoot at the tanks if they're low, out of position, or if they're the only thing you can shoot at, right? So if the rest of their team is dead, or if the tank's just in your face and you can't get past them, then obviously shoot at the tank. That's pretty much about it. Any questions on that one?
No, I think that makes sense for the most part. I get into a lot of situations where like, yeah, I'm battling the tank and maybe their DPS are over the map, not really shootable areas, and then they're like, say they have an Ana and it's kind of far away, so she's a little harder to hit, but I can still shoot her. Like, would you go like probability of landing your shots take into account at all, or
Well,
if I can still shoot the Ana regardless, still try to go?
Yeah, so like if you're talking about pressuring supports, like if Ana's difficult to kill and the Orisa, but the Orisa's like full HP and it's just getting pocketed, right? Like if the Ana's back here and the Orisa's like right here in front of you, right? If the Orisa's full HP and has her abilities, right? Like, why don't you just, at the very least, even if you can't kill her, just pressure the Ana real quick. Put a couple of shots into her, maybe throw a Javelin at her, and you could, you could maybe get the kill out of it because she could just be standing still and not expecting you to shoot at her, and then you pop her real quick with a shots and a Javelin, and then she's dead. Or at the very least, you could pressure her so that she's backs up for a couple seconds, which means that now Orisa's not getting healed. Now, if Orisa's 1 HP, then try to kill Orisa. Don't take the time to shoot at the Ana. Or if Orisa's like over here and just out of position and just Ana can't see her, then pressure the Orisa in that case, right? So it'll once again, situation by situation. There'll be times to look at the Ana. There'll be times to look at the Orisa.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Javelin. I think I was going to talk really quickly about flicking with Javelin. I think you had a like 45% Javelin accuracy when I checked it halfway through the game, which is not bad by any means, right? That's pretty decent, though I think that it probably skews upwards because I think you have a much higher accuracy against the Orisa who's right in front of you versus the squishy who's like over there. So I think that our accuracy on the harder to hit characters is probably lower, and they're probably the more important characters to Javelin anyways, because then you can get a quick burst kill out of it. So that's something that can be improved. So one thing that you can do to improve that is watching when you're flicking and when you're not flicking. I noticed that a lot of times with your Javelin, you have a very flicky aim style, which is going to be anytime your crosshair is just moving around very quickly. So we'll kind of be looking at them, and then we'll go, bam, and then we'll miss it. So now flicking is not bad by any means in all situations. Flicking is definitely useful in different situations, just like tracking is useful in different situations, but just like how tracking is not useful in every situation, flicking is also not useful in every situation, and I would say shouldn't be used as an exclusive aim style, because flicking by design, right, what flicking is, like we said before, is anytime your crosshair goes from point A to point B very quickly, right, that's a flick. So you will have situations where you need to do that, such as up against a fast-moving character, right? So if Tracer's blinking circles around you, you're not going to be able to slowly track that. You have to do a quick flick around with a Javelin to be able to catch up to the Tracer, right? Or if someone sneaks up behind you, quick flick around to shoot at them. If you're acquiring a new target, so we're shooting here, we get a kill, and then we are swapping to a new character, we're flicking pretty quick over to adjust targets. But when you do not need to flick is when you already have acquired a target who's on your crosshair, who's moving slowly, right? If you have just a normal speed moving character who's just walking and you're already aiming at them, then flicking a lot of times can just throw off your aim, or at the very least just make it inconsistent. If I'm already aiming at this character, why would I do this when I could just do this and just continue to aim at them? Or if they're moving in a straight slow line like these bots are, right? Why would I flick my Javelin when I can just like slowly track it, which would be a lot more consistent and a lot easier to do and won't throw off your shots as frequently. So that's just something to think about, is when to flick versus when not to flick, and that's something that can maybe help land your Javelins. So there'll be some cases where flicking with your Javelin is perfectly fine, and there'll be other cases where maybe it's not needed and it's just kind of throwing off your shots. That makes sense? Any questions?
Yeah, Was I flicking with both my primary and javelin? Or?
I'd say more so Javelin because it's very similar to like Ana sleeps in that it's like a slow moving projectile, and I think that there's often like it's just a natural inclination just to go like that with it, and flick it, and I noticed that comes with a lot of Ana players, and I'd imagine it's probably the same for a lot of Orisa players as well.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Yep. All right. We got like 15 minutes. I mean, we can probably that's probably not enough time for like a full other comp game. We could do a replay of something, or we could maybe do like a short quick play. I don't know how valuable that would be though.
I mean, yeah, I don't know that I have a recent replay, and I don't know that it'd be on Orisa. I mean, I've done 9 placements, I think, but
Okay.
I wouldn't mind doing just a quick play, I guess.
Sure, that works.
Work on some stuff.
Sure. Works for me.
Pushing forward.
Alright, you ready?
Yeah. Do I have you added in game? I'll just spectate in game. I'll probably be better quality anyways. Unless you're not streaming at 110, right? You're 720, so I might as well add you in game real quick. What's your battle net?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, you can probably queue up while you're doing that too.
Sent that in chat then. Yeah, I just got into a game.
Okay, should have just sent it through. Did you get it?
Yeah, I think I accepted it.
Oh, if you accepted it,
I'm offline.
oh,
Sorry.
okay. You're gonna have to go online because you can't spectate people who are offline. Yep, thank you. There we go, I'm in.
Alright.
Well, let's hope they're swiftly dealt with.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pushing forward.
ازيك. Stand together or fall alone.
Taking off. Contact. Band together.
Okay, make sure you're not pushing too far ahead of your teammates.
Dude, I had no idea where she went.
Yeah, I think she went behind the other bush that you didn't check behind.
The other way? Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of audio awareness. Like I said, at the very beginning of the fight, we pushed a little bit ahead of the team. I think it was good that you were going for the Lara. You almost got her. Maybe you could be javelining her sooner, because if you stun her into a wall, you can get a quick pick.
Shall we do this together? Don't let them take another step.
Yeah, Sombra. I'm really bad about playing against Sombra.
Yep, so remember, team composition dictates playstyles. You have to play differently because they're on different characters. So make sure you're being aware of the fact they're on Sombra. Always be thinking, where's the Sombra at? Is she invisible, right next to me? Can she hack me? So be ready for it, because maybe you can fortify really quickly before she hacks you. Or you can shoot her to cancel it.
at Orisa.
Almost. You got her to one HP, but we didn't push out to like look in the sky to shoot at her. You swap targets. So I just like quickly just push out of the room, look up in the air, and she's still 1 HP probably.
Okay.
An enemy here.
Back in control.
Hello.
Get
I need help. Barricades moving out.
Everyone grab a pillow and a book.
Nice. Well, during that fight, we kept pushing cart when I think like they kind of had a few people wrapping around behind and killing your teammates. I think you could have just gone behind with your teammates, and that would have been a situation to like help peel with them. Because I think if you did, you could have helped kill the people. I think your life weaver even used ultimate, so we could have played off of it the ultimate that he used to help shoot back at them. Okay. Decent ultimate though. Once again, we didn't see our health bar, so out of the ultimate we ended up pushing forwards instead of backing up. So watching health, making sure that you're managing it, your aggression, backing up when you see that you're low HP and not pushing forwards.
Okay.
Nice. Watch where your team's at. I think your team is still regrouping, so we're kind of pushing in when your team's not fully regrouped. So you're going in like maybe like 2-3v5 when your team's still coming back out of spawn.
Nice. Would you like just wait and spawn?
Yeah, you don't have to wait and spawn, but just like sit,
Poke back.
sit further back and just poke. You can probably play inside Lifeweaver's tree. Right, remember that's just giving you a ton of healing, but both times he's used it, we played outside of it. Nice. Honestly, a lot of time, it might be a good idea to start looking to use Javelin as a bit more of an opener than a closer, because if you land them into a wall, it can stun them, which can open up for a kill. Whereas it's also a bit slow to come out, so sometimes it can be hard to clean up a kill with it. But it can be used both directions. There, I think you were doing pretty decent, but then once again, I think you didn't know where your supports were, so I think we pushed past your supports once again. So trying to make sure you're keeping your eyes open, which is hard because I'm talking to you, but keep your eyes open so that you're not pushing past all of them.
Okay, so a little bit more careful. I feel like that was a good old. I don't know.
Did you use your gold before you ulted?
I don't think so. I thought I went right into ult.
Gotcha.
It was real bad.
I don't remember if you did or not. I mean, if you did, then just a reminder that you get gold out of your ult, so I would just save it for when you're done. But besides that, maybe you could have tried pushing the Reaper off of you with your spear. I think once again, we try and javelining in after ult, so watch, a lot of times after ultimate you're pushing when you're already low HP, so it might be better to back up. But alright, well, let's start to wrap up review.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that one was a harder game because I think one of the bigger things was that you had enemies that weren't all, that aren't all sitting in front of you, so it's hard to just to shoot back at them. And then you had teammates who weren't sitting behind you, so you had to be more aware of your surroundings, and it looks like awareness might be one of the things you struggle with. Because when you don't have everyone in a neat little line with them all sitting right here and your team is all sitting right here, when all the teams are all spread around, you have to know where people are, right? Which means looking around. One thing I'd recommend on tank is before you push in and engage, always look behind you first and then go, because you want to see, do I have my team with me? Or if you don't, then you wait, right? So always check. Whereas you kind of approach the game like it's like slow pan. So we come, they're going, and then we go this way. And we come and we go this way, right? Instead of once in a while doing a 180, checking behind, push, check, up, left, right, left. Is my team with me? Yes, they're with me, right? Up, down, over, around the corner, right? Like instead of looking everywhere, we're just kind of looking one place and then sticking on that place, right? So that's part of awareness is doing that. I don't know if I mentioned this, but awareness is very closely interlinked with aggression, because you won't be able to know when do I push if you don't know what's happening around you. So make sure you know what's happening around you, so you know when to push. All right.
Real quick, what sound settings do you use? Like you said, a lot of audio cues. Like I don't know if I have some of my music up too high or.
Yeah. So if you go to options, sound. Master volume, I have it really low for my coaching, but I'd recommend just making sure that this is loud enough. It's kind of subjective because everyone has different system volumes, so just make sure that your game is loud enough that you can hear things. Music volume, I'd recommend turning down or off, because that can a lot of times clutter with your in-game audio and get in the way. Then besides that, I'd recommend checking your headset, your system headset, right? See if you have surround sound enabled, if you have that, like, all the software downloaded and enabled and things like that. And if you don't, then there's the in-game option. If you go to spatial audio for Dolby Atmos for headphones, and you can turn that on, and basically you just want to make sure you have surround sound. And if you don't, then you might want to look into getting a headset with surround sound on it.
Yeah, I do, and
Yeah.
like I used to be like really good. Like I played Call of Duty and really good at hearing footsteps in there. But yeah, I don't know why I have a harder time like hearing footsteps and abilities in this game. And I don't know if my sound is just wrong, but I mean,
I think a lot of it is just there's not really too many nuanced things that you can do to adjust your sound. A lot of it is going to be making sure that while you're playing, you're actively paying attention to the things around you. So listening for footsteps and abilities and gunshots and ultimates, and that will be better audio awareness, is when you're focusing on it. And did we talk about that last time? Actively focusing on things.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was in the notes.
Yeah, like actively focus on the things you're trying to work on, because that's how you improve on them. And then also play sound when enemy and teammate are eliminated. I'd recommend turning on. Just gives you a little quick sound cue when people die, kind of like an auditory kill feed. Really quickly wrap up review, because I think I was a little delayed here, so we don't have too much time to do it. awareness slash aggression is probably your medium high. That's the number one, I would imagine, for yourself. Number two probably goes to yeah, so awareness slash aggression, that's a really big one. Then number two probably goes to your let's say trying to think. Mechanics is probably a medium, ability usage is probably a medium, ult usage is lower, it's like a low to medium, and then positioning is a low to medium, or maybe higher end of a low to medium. So I'd say next, let's just say mechanics. Let's just get the target priority out of the way, and then abilities, and then after that positioning, and then ult usage. Any final questions on anything?
No, I think that should be good.
Cool. All right. Well, let me get the